Good evening, good morning, good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the Irv Homer Show. It is Monday, February the 16th, 2009. My name is Irv Homer, and I've been doing this for almost a year. It's almost a year now, Ron. Almost a year. We've been doing this.
July 13th.
July the 13th. Oh, we got a way to go yet. Anyway, we do this thing Monday, Wednesday, and Friday night at 8 o'clock here on the East Coast. And hope to bring you a different perspective and present some points of view that you don't usually hear, because I'm known as a curmudgeon in the business. I do a radio program on WBCB 1490 AM at 1 o'clock in Levittown, Pennsylvania. Very small station, very small listening audience, and really don't generate that much controversy. It is a more or less a rural, laid-back, community-type radio station, and don't deal with too many pressing issues. I think it is beyond the scope of the listeners of that particular radio station, dedicated to more homeland stuff, schools, football games, baseball games, etc. But it gives me an outlet to get out of the house and out of the casino so that I don't gamble or drink in bars. So that is my background. I also am a panelist on Inside Story from time to time on Channel 6, which is the ABC affiliate here in Philadelphia at 11:30 on Sunday morning. I haven't received a new schedule yet, so I really don't know when my next appearance will be. We do accept your emails, folks, at evilerv@irvhomer.com. If you can't get through on the chat room, which we have available for you, or if you care to call on telephone during the program, our telephone number is 215-253-8877, 215-253-8877. And the program is brought to you from irvhomer.com. My website, once again, for you to check out is www.irvhomer.com. You can email me once again at evilerv@irvhomer.com. And don't forget that tomorrow at 8 p.m. on this particular network, you'll be available to, if you're available, tune into the Ron Tech Show, which begins at 8 o'clock. You click on Ron Tech Show on the irvhomer.com, and you link over to the show and learn about computers and ask questions about your computer. And of course, RGH Computer Services provide that service for you free of charge on the network. And if you have a computer problem that you can't get through tomorrow on the chat room, if you want to speak to someone from RGH Computer Services, you can call them at 215-322-8685. 215-322-8685. They're available to answer your questions or to provide a service for you at your place of business or your private location. So that being said, our chat room is available for your comments and your questions. And I beg of you, please don't ask me stupid questions. I really don't have the time at this point in my broadcast career. And I know you do it with good intent. Like questions, why did the Bushes build a home in Paraguay? Like, I have to reveal to you, I have no personal connection with the Bush family. I do not pick up the telephone and say, George, how you doing now that you're no longer president? Did you build a home in Paraguay? How in the hell am I supposed to know why they built a home in Paraguay?
I can take a guess why.
Well, you can take a guess why, Ron? What do you think?
Because he had the money that was available to him that he could.
I guess he's rich enough he can build a home any place he wants to.
Yeah.
But that's got nothing to do with me, and I have no idea why he would do it. Or I know no reason why your neighbor's dog will poop on your lawn. I mean, I have no idea what that big thing was in Texas that they claimed was a flying saucer that everybody's been out of shape about. So please try to make your questions as intelligent as possible, and your comments can be your own. There is no such thing, in my opinion, as a stupid comment. It is how you feel, and that's what we want to do. We want to bring out whatever is sitting in the recesses of your mind or your emotions, to bring it out. And you'd be surprised, ladies and gentlemen, the number of people that feel the same as you do about certain issues. And as I said, we don't do this program for a commercial venture. It takes up my time on Monday, Wednesday, or Friday nights. My social evenings are dedicated to Tuesday, Thursday, and Saturday and Sunday. and I have a full schedule of, thank goodness, because of a abundance of friends and relatives, that my life is pretty full. So please, the program is dedicated to you. Once again, I make no money from this program. I don't intend to make any money from this program. It's just a neighborhood confab. And I had mentioned many times before, while my dear godfather was alive, that we used to have a conversation group every Monday night at dinner. And there were 10 of us that got together, and we rotated on a Monday night, and there was a whole diverse group of folks there. And I have no idea what you people do to make a living, and it's none of my business. But we had a member of the Austrian royalty there. Yes. And her husband, who was a college professor at Penn, who shall remain nameless, a jeweler, myself, 2 attorneys, a truck driver, a pharmacist, and a tool and die salesman for one of America's largest companies. So it was a diverse group of people. We just got together and we just talked about issues and how it affected each one of us. The jeweler, of course, had one perspective. The attorney had a different perspective on his lifestyle, and the truck driver presented a different point of view. Every once in a while, we had a doctor and a chiropodist and an osteopath, and this was a great group of conversationalists. And after Tony Fertone, my dear godfather and jeweler in Hatboro, Pennsylvania, passed away, we kind of dissolved it. But we've reinstituted it here on the Irv Homer Show, through our chat room and through the telephone. The telephone number is 215-253-8877. And it's open for you. Let me say something that is really strange. And I guess the syndicated radio programs don't suffer from what you suffer from when you do this type of program. I'm sure when Rush Limbaugh sits down, or Hannity, with 600 radio stations, the lines are usually jammed. People have something to say before the commentator or the moderator even sits down. And when I first got into talk radio many years ago, it was the same way. People had something to say. And the board was always full of calls. Now, if you do small town talk radio, you do this type of format, it's like pulling teeth to get people to say something. We have a First Amendment in this country which gives you the right to even be a revolutionary on the air. And it probably is me, and not you, or the general audience, where I anticipated this program after, I would say, from July, August, September, October, November, December, January, that in about 7 months or so, the preponderance of comments and telephone calls would be greater than they are. So I can only say that I must be the most boring guy behind the microphone, and the word just hasn't spread as we anticipated. Not that we're complaining, because we do get a tremendous amount of hits on the archive. So maybe this is a bad time. Maybe you're busy watching, what's his name, O'Reilly or something, or whatever you're doing. But I'm almost tempted to say that in July we may terminate this whole format and let Irv Homer just disappear into the sunset, remove the website, and let society just do their thing. And I wish probably everyone well. I don't say that lightly, but maybe there is a time when one should resign. And so I'm seriously contemplating that, and just spend my life being a social butterfly and do things that I probably put off. Maybe my health won't allow me to do it, but devote more time to family and personal things. And so you have an opportunity to voice an opinion while the program is still on the air. We will have Valerie Morrison on the air. She will be doing her own show. When Valerie appears on the program, she will be doing her own show with my son Ron. When Pearl Polto, the credit expert, and in my opinion, in the whole United States, when Pearl is on, she will do the program by herself in this time slot. We're thinking of contacting John DePremio of Citizens for Common Sense and let him do the program. Not that they pay for it, but it's just an outlet where you can contact these people and hear their opinions, and I will just sit in the background and pay for whatever this operation costs. So that being said, the chat room is open for you to pose your questions or your comments. And once again, please, I don't have the patience or the desire to answer silly questions. Or you can make silly comments if you want to. I will just read them and let the public take it from there. Just a few comments before we get to the chat room. They say that imitation is the greatest form of flattery. And the thing that I find interesting is a list of books that I have, about 10 books on my website that I suggested you do not read. One of them is The Creature from Jekyll Island, which explains in detail, without political agenda, of why the money system in the world is the way it is. And I introduced W. Griffith about 25 years ago to the audience on WWDB. And the response was great, because people were interested in the one thing that we are grown up to respect, and that is capitalism and money. But nobody knew anything about money until Griffin put this book together called The Creature from Jekyll Island. Now, just yesterday, Sunday the 15th of February 2009, some 30 years after I said on my program, had Ed Griffin on the air any number of times, Martin Gross on the air, who talked about a cashless society where people will be able to go to the ATM machine, you won't carry cash around, be money transfers. And it was now on major market radio stations today, moderators and people, if you really want to know what's going on, you should read the book Creature from Jekyll Island. And so once again I say that imitation is the greatest form of flattery, and so I am flattered with the fact that it took 30 years for my words of advice and on my website to read some of the books that are there that will help you understand a little bit of what is happening. Tomorrow will be a unique day in America, and that will be the day that President Obama will sign the $800 billion stimulus and bailout bill. And you've heard a lot of criticism of it, you've heard a lot of positiveness of it, you've heard all kinds of discussions of it. But what is unique about it is the calculated risk of both political parties in introducing and signing this stimulus bill. And although we are supposed to have been a bipartisan, where the hand of friendship was extended by the president to the Republicans, and the Republicans graciously accepted President Obama at some of their caucus meetings and welcomed him to speak to them, it still is not a bipartisan bill. The entire House Republicans voted against it. The Republican Senate, you had Arlen Specter and Collins and Snow as Republicans supporting the stimulus package. So it's a calculated risk. And the deception by the right-wing commentators, and I will try to tone my verbiage down on the program in case children may be watching, and maybe some of my language has offended some of you folks, and for that I do apologize, although in my opinion apologies are a sign of weakness, so I don't take it as a sign of weakness. I just say that sensitive ears sometimes are listening. But it's a calculated risk that these frauds of radio on the right are saying, We hope it fails, but we hope the president succeeds. Now, maybe some Republican watching this program can explain to me what that means, or maybe even a Democrat. We hope the program falls and fails, but we hope the president succeeds. Well, if the program fails, we all fail. So, if you don't want to take a cruise, say, and the ship is sinking, you can't stand on a deck and say, I told you we shouldn't have come, because you're going to drown. So the Republicans are going to drown if this thing goes down, and so will the Democrats, and so will we all. But the calculated risk is, if this thing works, then you've got 3 Republicans in the Senate who are going to be heroes. And I hear the polls taken that Senator Specter's rating here in Pennsylvania is about 37%. If he were to run tomorrow, he wouldn't get my vote. I'm going to switch this. But you don't even know whether the program's going to work or not, and people are already deserting the ship. But suppose the stimulus package of $800 billion works, and suppose it's going to take another $100 billion. But it does work. It does stimulate the economy. It does help some of the foreclosures of the homes that are being demonstrated on television and we hear about. It may help the economy at your local restaurant. It may create jobs by building infrastructure of America. It may give an incentive for people to spend money. It may mean $13 more a week that you're going to have in your paycheck. It will also mean if there are 2 people working, that's $26 a week. It may mean that with these bailout and the stimulus package, your local taxes may not go up, because that which the federal government gives you helps reduce your local taxes. The government pulls back, then your local taxes go up. So maybe the stimulus package will be an incentive to governors like Ed Rendell and Corzine, New Jersey, to say, hey, since we're getting the stimulus package, it won't be necessary to raise our local taxes. It may mean better education, more police department, more policemen on the street, which we desperately need. Maybe building more prisons, building more courthouses, having more judges, easier to prosecute people. Then what are the Republicans going to do? And then will Arlen Specter and Collins and Snow become heroes? So there is a tremendous calculated risk, ladies and gentlemen, tomorrow on the signing of this stimulus package, whatever you want to call it. I've already called the pork about it. I have all kind of comments about it, what it is. But being serious, this is a unique time in American history. And if it works, there's going to be a lot of humble pie to be eaten. And I do hope it works. Now, you don't know whether I voted for Obama or not, and it's none of your business. It's none of your business whether you voted for McCain. It's not my business. But as I said last Friday, on Friday night's program, the hypocrisy of both the Democrats and Republicans in talking about correcting the situation can only be done through the Libertarian Party. And I invite you once again to add to my list of books not to read is books on libertarianism and who the Libertarian Party is. They are the only salvation for the arguments that are presented today by both the Democrats and the Republicans. So tomorrow will be the beginning of a new era in America. And it's a crapshoot, ladies and gentlemen. Now, whether you go to the casinos or whether you gamble or whether you don't, that makes no difference. It's a crapshoot. The Democrats are betting it's going to work. 3 Republicans joining the Democrats are going to say it will work. The Republican Party says it's not going to work. And the bloviators on syndicated radio to the right are hoping that it fails, but wants the president to succeed, which I cannot figure that out for the life of me. Maybe I'm just not that smart. A lot of criticism tonight on the possibility of 6 helicopters built to the tune of $500 million apiece that will be assigned to the White House. I don't know whether the people in the real media, ABC, the 6 o'clock, 11 o'clock news, or the bloviators, know anything about military contracts or government contracts. Well, when I heard the first thing yesterday, and I was busy yesterday, so I really didn't get a chance to watch all of the Sunday morning programs, I went back to my source of information, that is congressional hearings and congressional appropriations and military appropriations. These contracts for these helicopters were given out 3 years ago under the Bush administration. You're going to hear about 3 air refueling tankers that were also proposed and put in the budget then. And these will be Bush administration appropriations, but who's going to catch the flack, as demonstrated by the windbags on radio, on conservative talk radio, and in the so-called mainstream media? They're blaming Obama. Well, he didn't give those contracts out. Those contracts had to be fulfilled because they were signed by the Defense Department of the United States 3 years ago. Now, either the media, both the right and the left, are bathed in total and complete ignorance, or they're just lying. I think the liberal media doesn't know. And I think the conservative media is lying. But I suggest that you people not be misled by either the left or the right, and use your own judgment. Where's the war news? Are we still involved in a war in Afghanistan and Iraq? And why is it when the subject of the cost of 8 years of the Bush-Cheney war, that's never thrown into the cause of our national debt? Because we have the stimulus package and the possibility that the Senate appointee from Illinois, Senator Burris, is under the possibility of perjury indictments, does that mean that our troops are not dying in Afghanistan? Not dying in Iraq? Do we so frivolously throw away the lives of 130,000 men and women engaged in an act of war of terrorism in those 2 countries because we're concerned about octuplets being born in the state of California? Or whether or not some baseball player is using some type of enhancement performance drug? Or some gold medal winner in the Olympics was seen in a picture smoking a bong or whatever the heck it was that he was smoking? So to the men and women who are in Afghanistan and Iraq, getting shot at, living in fear, coming home crazy as bedbugs and Looney Tunes, you're secondary to this stuff. You're secondary. Just go over there and shut up and fight the war. We got more important things here to deal with on radio and the news. There should be, if I were a news director of a major market network, I would demand at least 2 minutes of war news every night on the 6 o'clock news and on the 11 o'clock news. We cannot forget that we are still involved in a war that's costing us $10 million a week. We can't afford to forget that. But the news knows the nature of the American people. Give me something new. War's old hat already. We don't want any more war rallies, support your troop rallies on the street corners. We don't want any tie a yellow ribbon around the old oak tree. We don't even have flags on our cars anymore. Support your troops. What is that, a blasé expression, ladies and gentlemen? Isn't that not? We haven't had one song in 8 years to inspire the American people to support the troops. Now, my problem is, and I've mentioned it many, many times, I've lived too long to be in this business because I remember the inspiration of the World War I songs that gave us inspiration to win, the songs of World War II that gave us inspiration to win. There were no songs of Vietnam, tie a yellow ribbon round the old oak tree, maybe. What are the songs of patriotic inspiration today? Isn't any. Isn't any. We've got rock concerts. We've got yappies banging on guitars with amplified music. We got young ladies running around with their behinds out. But where's the inspiration for a patriotic song? There isn't any. So you guys and gals that are over there fighting, go over there and die. Shut up. We got important things here to deal about in America. Mickey D is laying off people working. So there is no war news because our servicemen are, that's it. Just fight the war, shut up, come home. Maybe you'll be sane, maybe you won't be sane. Who knows? The other thing I just wanted to throw out, and then we'll get to our busy chat room, and you are invited, of course. And if you notice, I'm a little quiet tonight because I feel that there is no hope from when I listen to radio, watch the news. Things are not going to change that dramatically. But the calculated risk tomorrow is the big thing. We had another police officer shot in the city of Philadelphia this weekend, a 25-year-old police officer with a pregnant wife. And I remember about, maybe someone can correct me, but a couple of years ago, the Philadelphia Daily News in Philadelphia published a list with pictures on the front page of the Philadelphia Daily News of the 10 most wanted criminals in the city of Philadelphia. And those pictures that the Daily News published were pictures given to the Daily News by the Philadelphia Police Department. 9 of the 10 perpetrators that were on the most wanted list were African Americans. And there was a big hue and cry. It's racist, it's profiling. Oh, there was all kind of hell to pay in Philadelphia. So this morning, as I was coming out of my favorite diner for breakfast, there were 2 Philadelphia motorcycle officers that were having breakfast. As I was going out, they were about to get on their bikes, and one of the police officers recognized me. He said he had met me 15 years ago. I don't recall why, and I didn't ask him why. But the Philadelphia Police Department and I have had a good relationship, and we've had a bad relationship because I would not tolerate a bad cop. But I will tolerate a cop in Philadelphia who was treated wrong by the police department and the commissioner. And so I stood up for the cops that were right, and I was hammered hell on the cops that were wrong. So over the years, I suppose, police officers who were honest, legitimate, tough, believed in the law, did their job, had a lot of respect for me. Those scum that are in the police department don't. I don't care. But I will stand up for police officers, which I did, 2 highway patrolmen that were being railroaded by the police department and by the city council of Philadelphia, and I went to bat for them, found out that they were right, and they were exonerated, went back on the police department. So I consider that to be a badge of honor. I also have to blow my own horn for some of you who don't know, but I was the first person in the city of Philadelphia that provided 10 bulletproof vests for the Philadelphia Police Department. That's right, yours truly, right here. on this little thing that I do Monday, Wednesday, and Friday night. I have the pictures to prove it. Solomon was the police commissioner of Philadelphia. The police had a $75 clothing allowance for their clothes, their uniforms, their shoes, and a bulletproof vest. Well, that $75 was used by police officers to buy clothes for their kids, shoes for their kids, and so very few of them had bulletproof vests. And so with a sponsor of mine and myself, we started a program in Philadelphia that was very successful in New York called Invest in a Cop, in which we raised money from the citizens and the school children to provide bulletproof vests for 6,000 Philadelphia police officers. And we had 10 vests donated on the Irv Homer show to Commissioner Solomon at the time for police officers to be protected. A lot of controversy over which vest should they wear. Should they wear the full protective vest that weighed 6 pounds, 12 pounds? Can you dry clean a vest? Is it good against an ice pick attack? And we went all through that with bidding and so forth and so on. Well, what happened was that an officer, I believe his name was Fay, was shot, and Mayor Green then decided to jump on the bandwagon and say we must provide bulletproof vests. And so at City Council in Philadelphia, they had an appropriation of $500,000 for bulletproof vests for the Philadelphia Police Department. The first time in the history of the city of Philadelphia that they ever had a separate appropriations for bulletproof vests for the police as a result of the 10 bulletproof vests that I and my sponsor provided on my program to Commissioner Solomon. Well, Len Toast, the late Len Toast, donated $50,000 while Len Toast had trucks on the street. So that kind of meant that if a cop was wearing a Len Toast bulletproof vest, maybe they wouldn't ticket the trucks. Maybe that was, I don't know why he did. Anyway, the fact of the matter is that the Philadelphia Police Department now has bulletproof vests, but it started on the Irv Homer show. This recent officer was shot above his vest. Now, some vests have a V-neck that when they go into a combat area, as they do, there is a Velcro slip that goes up to the neck, also one for the groin, and also a Velcro strip in the back to protect the spine, which gives the police officer total protection. Now, apparently the vest that this officer was wearing did not have the chest protecting part of the vest because they're heavy and they're cumbersome, and some of them can't be dry cleaned, and so they do get an odor after a while. They're uncomfortable. So I was speaking to the police officer this morning in the parking lot of a diner, and I want to put, and I want you people to call the papers, your local paper, whether it's Bucks County, Currytown, Montgomery Observer, whatever paper you're at, and see why they can't publish a list of the 10 most wanted criminals in your county, in your community. Is it an invasion of privacy? These are people who have jump bail, parole violators, probation violators, people who have warrants out for them. Should we, the public, not be aware of who may be sitting waiting? As Eric Birnbaum, the lawyer at the Gateway Shopping Center in, I don't know what that area is called. Was it? It's not Holland, Richboro, Feasterville, wherever it was where he got shot on Bridgetown Pike and Bristol
That's
Road.
Richboro.
Is that Richboro?
Yeah.
Okay. Should we not be able to see the face of these people? Is it an infringement in their privacy? We have video cameras when I go into CVS drugstore, go to get my prescription filled, and there's a sign right there that says you are being videotaped while this transaction is going on. You can see the camera. You can see yourself on camera. But why is it that we, the innocent people, get videotaped when we do business in a jewelry store, in a supermarket, in a drugstore, but we can't publish the pictures of the 10 most wanted people in our community, in our county, in our state, in the newspaper, because it's an invasion of the perpetrator privacy. Now, the Bucks County paper that I get every morning in Bucks County here has a list on the crime log of every township: Lower Southampton, Upper Southampton, Richboro, Langhorne. List the names of the people and what they were found arrested for and guilty of. The only difference is they don't have the picture there. Well, why not put their picture there? Okay, they haven't been proven guilty yet. All right, well then let's put pictures of the guilty ones in there. And after speaking with a police officer presenting my petition to this great guy, motorcycle, two of them, I mean, these were big guys. Man, I'm telling you, don't mess with them guys. They're big boys. And they had gorgeous bikes too. I think they may have been donated by my friend Cal Rudman, I don't know. He said, Irv, the public don't care. What? Nobody's going to drop a dime. I said, you're hurting me to the quick, officer. He said, they don't care. And so I related incidents of, postponements and plea bargaining and overcrowded jails and building a new prison, getting more judges, having more courtrooms. He said, nobody's going to vote for it. Nobody wants a prison in their neighborhood. Nobody wants to pay more money to incarcerate, have more judges. I said, how about judges holding court? When you get a summons to appear in court at 8:30, as I have received as a witness, I don't break the law, folks. I make them write new ones, but I don't break the law. The judge gets there at 11:15. Why isn't he there at 8:30 when the summons says be there at 8:30? We've got to tighten up on the judicial system in many areas that we've got to tighten up on. Let the fair go, let the innocent go free, but damn it, prosecute and incarcerate the hardened criminals. Maybe we won't have guys being killed in parking lots like the attorney was, or police officers being shot. The uniqueness about this killing that took place at Broad Nolly was the guy didn't even take the gun out of his coat when the officer told him to remove his hands from his pockets. He shot the officer right through his coat that the perpetrator of the crime was wearing. He shot right through the coat with a .357 Magnum. So these are the dangers that our police are facing when they make an innocent car stop or try to stop an argument with a disgruntled passenger in a taxi cab. The scum that would stick up a cab driver. Guys driving all days and night. Driving a car in Philadelphia is like being in the demolition derby. This guy gets killed because he wanted to protect the cab driver. This officer gets killed. Oh, they'll plea bargain this guy. Well, no place to put him. Just a thought that I would throw out. So will you call your newspaper and say, why don't you publish the name and the pictures of the 10 most wanted in the area? You won't do it. I know you won't do it. And that was the defeatist attitude that the police officer had and presented to me. So those are the things I just wanted to kick around tonight. Once again, we're broadcasting from IrvHomer.com. My website is www.irvhomer.com. Email me at evilerv@irvhomer.com. And RJ's Computer Services for all your computer problems. Their telephone number, 215-322-8685. 215-322-8685. But one word, and then I will go to our chat room. Regardless of what comes down in the news tomorrow with the signing of the stimulus package or the bailout, you may be emotionally disturbed of what you hear, what you see. When people, and yesterday I had the occasion to speak to some folks, said, Irv, I said, the thing to do, look at your own family and environment and protect yourself. This is not going to be something where you can just correct the problems of the entire world. You must rethink your lifestyle. And I was in a home yesterday. It was a big home. Make no mistake about it. Lovely home, lovely neighborhood. And there were other members of this family there. And I said, what would happen if this entire family suddenly started realizing that this home and other big homes and all were getting a little tough to keep? Would it be so horrible if you all moved together into one home and rode the storm out? And there was like a blanket silence. It was like a blanket silence. Well, that's what families are for. Not to take mom and pop and put them in a 55 and older condominium someplace that don't allow kids or dogs to live there. Not to get prime rate mortgages, hoping that you're going to be able to make a living to pay for it. Not leasing $600 a month automobiles when you should be driving a car maybe for $200 a month. You're going to have to ride this storm out. And you're not going to be able to do it with the same lifestyle that you're used to. Just before I came on the air, was watching a couple on how it was going to affect them. And this woman was actually interviewed that when she goes to work, she has to put her dogs in daycare. She had two gorgeous dogs, large-sized dogs. But if the economy keeps up, she won't be able to afford to put her dogs in daycare while she's working. Well, tough ninny to you, sister. What, Ron?
Dogs in daycare?
Two dogs in daycare.
And show dogs?
No, regular dogs, regular pets. And so this genius finance advisor on television, on Channel 6, ABC, said, well, this is going to have a ripple effect. You see, she won't be able to put her dogs in daycare, and that means the dog groomer who has the daycare center for the dogs, it's going to affect his income, and that's going to affect the gourmet food that the dog eats that is served at the daycare center. So this ripple effect of this poor lady who won't be able to put her two dogs in daycare is going to have a ripple effect to the dog compound where she puts this dog while she works, and also to the gourmet food distributor who buys his meat from, and I'll mention the name of the company because it wasn't filled, Allen Meat Company, who may suffer a decline in their gourmet animal food. Well, tough ninny. I'm Irv Homer, is who I am, and that's my comments for tonight. To our chat room, Irv, do you think that China will be the next great superpower? My dear viewer, China is already a superpower in numbers of population alone. You must remember, my dear friend, that Hillary Clinton left on her first overseas trip today to go to Asia, which means it is the first time in the history of a Secretary of State that the first trip taken by a Secretary of State was to the West and not to the East. Usually they go to Europe. She went to Asia. China is known as the sleeping giant that is now rubbing its eyes. So be aware of the fact that China is a superpower, does not intend to be anything less. To the telephone, we have a telephone call. Good evening, good afternoon, hello.
Hello, Irv.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, this is Bill from Lanai.
How are you, Bill?
Good. Listen, I've been listening to you for probably better part of 25 years.
Mm-hmm.
And I've read all those books actually I just read The Creature from Jekyll Island again.
Mm-hmm.
And it is interesting that, because you are hearing a lot more of that on the radio.
Isn't
it? Different people talking about it.
Yeah.
And you've been talking about this stuff for years. And I was just thinking about, you've taught me so much over the years, and I've been able to avoid a lot of the traps in society because of the stuff that you've taught me. And it's a damn shame that the people don't want to hear this kind of radio today. They just want to hear this nonsense on this character assassination bullshit with Limbaugh and all that. And that's what the people want to hear today. It's really sad.
Well, I suppose people want to be entertained more than they do want to be informed, and I can understand it, because people can't face the truth, unfortunately, Bill. And as I said last night, I said, suppose this family of 2 sisters and 4 had to all move in together, living in a nice neighborhood in a big home, to ride out the storm, to save money so that you don't fall victim to the finance predators. And there was like a stunned silence. Yeah. So it is a matter, Bill, of survival, and you got to do what you got to do to survive, and swim against the current, man, because the current is going to take you out to the ocean and you're going to drown.
Yeah, and I know, and that's how my family is. I mean, we've taken in, some of our family at different times, and it's no big deal. I mean, you get through it. It's just people are so damn selfish today, and what they think they need is just ridiculous.
Well, we've become a consumer society. We got to have the best car, we have to have the best coat, we have to have the best rings, we have to pay $100 for sneakers and buy stupid Eagles jackets for $85 a night. Every time I see someone wear an Eagles jacket or a football jacket to make these guys even richer than they are, I said, what's wrong with these people? Why don't they just take that $85 for a jacket, the Giants, the Eagles, the Fly? Go out and take your family out to a good meal or a dinner, or take them down the shore for a day. Who would spend that kind of money on those stupid things? I don't know. Or somebody, Perry Ellis. Who's Perry Ellis that I have to pay him $90 for a shirt? I just don't get it. We're consumer driven, oriented by style, and no common sense, and I just don't get it. I don't get it.
No.
Bill, sure.
I know, and I talk to a lot of my friends in the trades and stuff, and they, when they complain about stuff, and I just tell them stuff that I've learned from stuff that
plain common sense is what you learned.
And they just look at you like you're crazy.
Well, that's why I say that, it gets disheartening when I hear what is on radio today compared to common sense radio that used to be on talk radio. And I just say, look, there's no sense in me swimming upstream Monday, Wednesday, and Friday night. I think I'm just going to, just enjoy the sun and spend my time being a social butterfly, and unfortunately watching a lot of people financially hurt, and it's going to be a shame.
Yeah, well, I know I'll miss you, and I'm, whatever you decide to do, I wish you the best. But
I appreciate.
I certainly enjoyed listening to you, and I think I always think of what I feel is the difference between you and these bloviators on radio today is those people try to make you think the way they want you to think. And you've just always tried to make me think.
For yourself.
That's right.
Bill, thanks so much for calling.
Thank you.
Take your care. We'll be here until July, I promise you, folks. We won't terminate the program until July. And then it may go on after July. I don't know. But it's just that when I hear, after 35 years advocating books that I said not to read, and now it's a new revelation, you should read Creature from Jekyll Island, it just boggles my mind. To the chat room, don't terminate the show, as we love watching and listening and learning. Bill and Barb at Feasterville. Well, thank you, Bill and Barb at Feasterville. Like I said, the program will continue until I want to get 1 year in. But when I hear the idiocy during that, maybe I should listen to music during the day, but I have to know what the enemy is saying, because it is not beneficial for what's good for America. This is my country. It's your country. And if I have to support a liberal cause, I will. And if I have to support a conservative cause, I will. And if I have to support the Democrats, I will support the Democrats. If I have to support the Republicans, I will support the Republicans. I support America. And if you call it bipartisan or whatever you want to call it, I'm not interested in an ideology. I'm not even interested in a religious ideology. I'm sure God has got his own plans. It doesn't make any difference what Irv Homer thinks. And if you're going to look for a reward to your fellow man, do it while you're here. Don't worry about it till after you die. Since other countries are bailing out their banks too, do you see a global currency in the future? The ideology of having an international currency was proposed many, many, many years ago. However, for what's good for humanity is bad for individuals. For example, it would be great for me to be able to have public transportation so I wouldn't have to use a car. Now, if they propose public transportation, I will have to give up my automobile and my personal taste to drive someplace. However, I could be riding on a $500,000 bus instead of a $20,000 automobile. But I'm going to have to make a change. So nationalism plays a very strong part of independence and a international currency. There is international currency today, my dear friend, and that is called wire transfers, in which if you deal with a company, say in Italy, you never know what the rate of exchange is between the American dollar and the lira in Italy. A friend of mine whose funeral I went to yesterday, unfortunately a tragic death, was an importer of women's shoes from China. Very successful gentleman who I had the pleasure of knowing. He was a World War II navigator who almost lost his right arm when he was shot down after 23 missions. And the unique thing about Marvin was that when he came back from Foch, Italy, and had been in the hospital for 2 years, recovering from almost losing his right arm, my crew replaced one of the crews in the wing that he was assigned to in Foch, Italy. So we had a close relationship. Well, Marvin had gone to China 6 or 7 times a year, and to Thailand, to Japan, to all of Asia. And I said, well, how do you know how much to pay for these things? Well, with the wire transfers, the exchange rate is published that morning in China and in America. And that was the exchange rate that he bought those shoes from, and they charged him for. So it's done instantaneously by wire transfer. Now, it would be a lot simpler for an international currency to say that a dollar is worth what a yen is worth, what a lira is worth, what a mark is worth, what a ruble is worth. But that is all done now by computers, by instantaneous equalization of what value of international currency is. So, although the idea of one currency internationally was presented years ago before the computerization, I don't think it's necessary now, because the value of currency by computerization is instantaneous. If I want to know what a part will cost me in Germany for my car, I can get that quote in 2 seconds on the computer, direct from Germany. Now, prior to the computer, you would have to send them a telegram, they would send you a telegram, there'd be a wire transfer and all that. Not done, not any longer. So I doubt very much, because of technology today, that we will have what is known as an international currency. Our next comment on the chat room: well, Irv, let me throw out a piece of meat to chew on. Tomorrow, GM and Chrysler have to present their restructuring plans. It is expected that neither will produce a plan. Should we let them crash and burn? John, what we think is immaterial. There are many opinions as to whether or not the big automakers should crash and burn. My personal opinion is, what would be the effect if we did? The effect that we did is there's going to be a lot of people unemployed. But what kind of plan could these automobile manufacturers submit that it's going to be worth getting an infusion of stimulus money, another $3 billion, another $10 billion, another $6 billion? What plans have they got? I personally believe that there should be a moratorium on building any more cars or importing any more cars in America. At least 3 to 6 months. I drive by Reedman Toll on Route 1 every day on the way to the radio station. There are enough cars sitting there unsold. I don't know what in the hell they have to manufacture more for. If you ride on Route 1, there are Hondas, there are Toyota dealers, there are Volvo dealers, there are Chrysler dealers, there are Ford dealers coming out of your behind. Why do we need any more cars? Take the stimulus package, give the workers a 3-month furlough of all automobile plants, shut them all down. During that period of time, let them restructure what cars they're going to present that will be beneficial for us, making us fuel independent, energy independent, and pay the workers while they take a 3-month hiatus or a vacation. When these automobile companies come up with the cooperation of the automobile workers' unions, present to somebody in Congress, they don't call it a car czar anymore, but to a non-partial group, Democrats, Republicans, and business, say, look, this is our plan when we go back to production. We're going to produce automobiles that, A, are less expensive. We're going to trim down the cost of our retirement programs, our health benefits. We're going to shop around for the best package. Let them make a presentation and then start. We have enough cars, I guarantee you. There's no shortage of new cars in America. Bail them out for what? To make more cars for people who can't afford to buy them? Does it make sense? That's my suggestion. Irv, I always wanted to ask you, you are obviously an avid reader. Do you speed read? And if so, did you learn it on your own and take a speed reading course? And if so, which one? Rich in Cherry Hill. I taught speed reading to myself. And one of these days I'll tell you how I did it, and it was very simple. I did steal it from Evelyn Wood. If you recall, she was the first one that invented speed reading. And it is really simple. Now, you can get the highlights of all books and anything you read, newspapers, etc., by speed reading. If you want to do intense study, then you read the book in total. But you can learn to speed read yourself. Only use nouns, verbs, and adverbs. That's my telephone. Excuse me just a moment. Hello? Huh? I'm on the air. I can talk to you later, Bill. All right.
Kearney.
No, the President Sunshine Foundation. I have to talk to my friend. So that is my suggestion as far as the automobile industry is concerned. Irv, this reaching across the aisle in Washington by Obama seems naive, but a fresh approach. Is this going to fail, and will he end up resorting to the same old D.C. politics, Rick and Percy? Yes, it will. And I'll tell you who is going to prevent the reaching across the aisle in Washington by Democrats or Republicans. It is Rush Limbaugh, it is Sean Hannity, it is Michael Medved, it is Mike Gallagher. The people that have syndicated radio with 2, 3, 5, 10 million listeners are not going to allow the Republican Party, of which they have been the voice of, and conservatism for all the years they've been on radio, to allow the Republicans to reach across the aisle. It is obvious that the attack now on Snowe, Collins, and Specter, because they as Republicans in the Senate dared reach across the aisle. I think Arlen Specter and Snow and Collins should actually be given police protection, because I do not believe that they are safe with the hatred that I've seen generated against them for agreeing with the stimulus package of Barack Obama. So reaching across the aisle could be done, but the politicians are afraid of talk radio and the viciousness of these people. Any Republican who thinks that the package is good will be under attack the next day. Right, Shani, shut up. So that is my comment. There won't be any reaching across the aisle. Irv, did you hear Lindsey Graham propose your idea to nationalize the banks today? What do you think? Well, my dear friend, all you have to do is read the Constitution of the United States. The Constitution of the United States says specifically, Congress shall have the right to regulate and coin money, which means that the United States government, in the hands of the Founding Fathers, proposed that the United States own the banks. So it is not a new concept. It was to these people who believe in the Constitution, and they believe in the Founding Fathers, and they believe in all of this. That's what the Founding Fathers suggested, that the people's representatives, the Senate and the House of Representatives, coin and regulate the money, not to give it to a private bank, not to give it to a private bank called the Federal Reserve System that supplies the currency to the United States and then charges the money and interest to use the currency that they create out of thin air. So it's not a proposal. It's in the Constitution. I wish I had just a second. See, the Constitution to me is the Bible of freedom. The Bible of freedom is the Constitution of the United States. And the Bible of freedom says specifically what the rights and duties and what our contractual agreement is between our government and we the people. And it says here specifically, and I hate to take the time, but I should have had it spelled out for you. But I promise you on Wednesday night, I will have it for you. And I will quote you direct from the Constitution of the United States, where Congress will have the responsibility to coin and regulate money. Here it is. Let me see. Here it is. Section 8, the powers of Congress. Here it is, the Constitution. To coin money, regulate the value thereof and a foreign coin, and fix the standards of weights and measures. It says it right here. So what is this big thing of Lindsey Graham saying to nationalize the banks? Congress's responsibility, Article 5 of Section 8 of the Congress of the United States, powers of the Congress, to coin money, regulate the value thereof, and of foreign coins. Doesn't say anything here until 1913, when the rich boys of the world decided to take over the currency. Irv, if I drive my company car and go through a red light or hit another car, I get in trouble. Do cops and firemen get in the same trouble? I don't know about firemen. On the way to an accident or way to a fire, they get in an accident? No, I doubt very much whether they get in trouble. Police officers on the way to a apprehension or a crime scene? No. Police, you must remember, to the best of my knowledge, are on duty 24 hours a day, whether they're in uniform or on duty or not. But they're basically on duty 24 hours a day. If a police officer or fireman out of uniform in his own car with luxury driving do go through a red light or hit another car, I don't know about a red light, whether they'll be given a free ride or not because of courtesy from the ranks, but they must be insured the same as you and I. And so there is no exemption when it comes to insurance, and there's no exemption in the courts. I've seen some police officers in private automobiles when they were driving for pleasure getting a lot of trouble when they got in an accident. Now, if you drive a company car and go through a red light or hit another car, you also have a dual liability. Is the company liable, or are you liable as the driver? That's an agreement that you establish between you and the company when they give you the automobile. Do you pay taxes as part of your income when they give you a company car? Do you get a car allowance? Is that considered income when they give you a company car? So all of these questions could only be answered if I spoke to you directly. But I have a lot of sympathy for police officers and firemen, because you know as well as I do, I wouldn't want to be a police officer today, and I wouldn't want to be a fireman. So bless those guys. Give them all the help you can give them. But if there's a bad cop, or there's a fireman out there that sets fires just for the glory of it, I hope they nail them. I'm Irv Homer. Thanks so much for listening. Thanks so much for participating. We'll do this again on Wednesday night. See you till then.